Andrew Buen.
A verdict has been reached in the retrial of a former Clear Creek County deputy. Andrew Buen was facing a second-degree murder charge for his involvement in the 2022 shooting death of 22-year-old Christian Glass. The jury convicted him on a lesser charge of criminally negligent homicide. That conviction comes after Buen's first trial ended in a partial hung jury. Christian Glass's parents talked after the verdict.
Ellie, is this justice in your mind?
He's in handcuffs. He's being walked away in handcuffs, and he's finally going to be in jail, which is where he needs to be. I think we have to, well, the jury didn't know, but Andrew Buen's a violent man, and this is not the first time he's hurt someone. He's hurt other people, and he went on, and he ended up murdering our son. And that man really, in my opinion, should not be seeing the light of day, because he's a menace to the world, and particularly to the community of Colorado, and he's away. And for that, I feel very pleased about.
Son, what do you think?
Well, it's 2.5 years ago, we were told that he had an argument with police officers. It was all his fault. We found out later that it wasn't true. We've had so many lies. We've had years of lies, and it's finally, I think this is something where there's actually some consequences, because, you know, Andrew Buen, he basically looked at Christian and said, "I'm going to kill you," and he did so. And there was no, he had no thought for us, his family, Christian's welfare, or anything like that. He was just in a murderous condition or whatever, and that's what he did. And he got away with it. He went back on the job after a few days, and he was walking around like nothing happened.
And we have to thank God for the body cam footage, right? Without the body cam
body
footage.
Cams, none of the other officers would have said anything either. So, you know, this has been a really, really long and tough thing for us, and it's not over. But this is what we've been waiting for.
What did that feel like, seeing him walk out of the courtroom?
You know, weirdly, we knew in our hearts that whatever happened, it doesn't bring our son back. And that's the thing, it doesn't bring our son back. But when I saw him handcuffed, it was like, Simon, finally, after 2.5 years, he has finally got real hard consequences for murdering someone. And if he hadn't have been a former police officer, it would have happened sooner. And police really have to be held to the same standards, and quite frankly higher standards than the rest of us. So I just felt that it was just and right that he be handcuffed and be taken away.
We heard his attorney yesterday say that he thinks about this every day. He feels that this was a tragedy for him. Did you ever get that impression?
No.
Tragedy for who? Andrew Buen. I'm so sorry. Why did he kill our son? He had no reason to. There was no purpose to it at all. And we've never watched the video, but for better or worse, we've heard details in the court when we've been unable to block them out. And you know, the whole thing is just crazy. He thought he was God. He thought he could do anything. He thought he could get away with anything.
He's a bully.
He did.
Bully, violent bully.
He beat up that guy in jail, put him in hospital, got away with it. He killed Christian Glass.
Nearly got away with it.
Got away with it for several months. And even then, you know, it's very, very difficult to convict. So I feel that, you know, we have to trust our police. They, you know, to serve and protect, as the prosecution said. And when they don't, there needs to be heavy consequences, because it's like rooting out evil in your own police.
And it's important. I was just thinking, I've had 2 ladies now, but I remember one older lady in Georgetown. She came up on the street and she gave me a hug, and she said, "Thank you for all you've done to get rid and turn over our police force." She said, "We were terrified of our police." And another lady this trial has said to me, it was like the Wild West up here with our police. So this community had to deal with that police force, and thank God they're gone, because it was corrupt, and they hide and they buried, and it was corrupt.
Who knows what?
But
Just one more question from me. We understand that a large portion of the civil settlement is going to charity. Can you talk about that? Would you talk about that?
Oh, well, I guess, yeah, so there's something called a donor advised fund. Honestly, that we chose because it's cheaper than a foundation to run, so more money can go to good causes. So the money is invested in and then as it grows, that the growth goes into the donor advised fund, and that is given to charity. The idea of that is, we want it to go on for a very, very long time. So you sort of look after the capital, let that grow, and all the growth just goes to, to charities, and that's because it's blood money. We don't want it.
Christian would have probably lived another 60-something years, so if the money can go
Right.
on for that length of time, that would be great.
Yeah.
I have one more question. I know there was an interaction at the end when Buen was in cuffs. Can you just talk a little bit about that? And were you surprised by that reaction from their supporters, from Buen supporters?
Well, I was the naughty one, I guess. But I think that it was, when his mother yelled out, and I don't, do I have sympathy? I think it's hard. It is her son, and he's going to jail. But Andrew Buen's alive. He's in rude health. He gets to live on his life. Our son is dead. 6 feet under. We had to fly with our son's ashes in our backpack on a plane to bury him in his home country. That is losing a son. And when I see outpouring of sympathy and love for the man that murdered our son, it made me pretty angry.
Yeah, it makes me sick. It's not right, and if enough people had said to Andrew Buen, "You did the wrong thing there, that wasn't right," earlier, this would never have happened. He would never have come to murder.
Knowing that there was the potential for second-degree murder charges here, even manslaughter, what's your reaction to the jury making this decision on criminally negligent homicide?
Well, it's been a while. Maybe it's fading from memory a little bit. I think there was burning anger at this back, when it happened, and maybe it's calmed down.
Rears up.
Yeah.
The family thanks the district attorney and the
Thank you,
jury
Thomas.
for their hard work. It is not easy for any jury to sit in judgment. And you have to remember the burden is beyond the reasonable doubt. It is the highest burden that we have in the land. Yeah, the government can take away your child at a lower burden than to convict someone. This jury worked hard to look at the evidence and make a decision.
And they found him guilty. That's the main thing I just heard.
Yes, they found him guilty of homicide.
And homicide's murder. So he's been found guilty of murder. And he was guilty of murder. You just have to, I've been told, you just have to look at the body cam footage and you will see it. And thank goodness. And actually Jared Pollis for making sure that there was officers were carrying body cam, in the wake of George. That's why.
Any other questions as it's getting cold?
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you all for covering this important story and
I
covering Christian's legacy and remembering who Christian was and is for this family.
And it'll never happen again, right? That's all we desperately hope for, that another family ever has to go through this, right?
And we have to thank the prosecutors, Heidi McCollum, and the people here are very dedicated. This is a
Steve
really,
and
really
Joe.
such a difficult case to bring against in a small town. The people of Georgetown have been so kind to us. We've spent a lot of time here. We love this place. So
It's
thank
a
you.
beautiful town. It is, and the people here are lovely, and they deserve a better police force, and they've got a better one now.
Yeah, yeah. So come to Georgetown, just not all at once.
You're right.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.